is starting to become a pattern, isn't it? But what are you gonna do? I don't dwell on the past. I don't dwell on the problems. When something needs to be made happen, I make it happen. And like I said, this week I'm doing all my top 10s for 2014, and that means it's time to do the good stuff, the happy stuff, the top 10 best anime of 2014. And why, instead of looking at my handsome mug, I'm going to celebrate it by just showing pictures of those animes, because it's also really dark here and my room has shit lighting. Without further ado, let's cue title scene! So, as usual, let's establish some ground rules. Originally, this was going to be best animes of 2014, but due to computer problems, I could not finish a lot of the 2014 animes I was interested in, so this is just of the things I watched this year. And also, just a side note, this was the first year I actually started really following anime online. I wasn't just watching what was on Toonami, so a lot of this year was kind of like catch-up for me. But I was excited for it. I loved getting to review all these anime, and I loved giving them their chance to be celebrated here and now. So without further ado, let's go! Number 10! Coming in at 10th place is Madoka Magica. Though I acknowledge it's probably better than these next couple just based on the way it's made, I really sort of had a lot more problems with it as the year went on, and I thought about it a lot more. I still stand on the rating I gave it, but, you know, it has a lot of problems, but it has a lot of great stuff. I loved the characters, especially Sayaka. I loved the way the story was done. I loved the visual style. I thought the series as a whole was very fascinating to watch, and even when it did get bad, it always remained interesting and intriguing. It's a mindfuck of a series, and it is a bit of a mess, but it's a really fascinating mess, and something I won't soon forget. Number 9! For the first time, well actually the second time, but this was the first time it actually worked out, Toonami and Japan teamed up to bring us Space Dandy, a visually beautiful, very funny series that was just really good because of the way it celebrated animation, how fast-paced it was, how fun it was. Not every episode was perfect. Some episodes, the zombie one, weren't even that great. But it was always a fascinating show to watch. It always made me laugh, and it always celebrated animation for the beautiful medium it was, and we got to see a lot of different fascinating types of animation. Plus, just getting a big laugh at everything science fiction was really good, as it was intentional for once and not just bad sci-fi. It was awesome. Number 8! Kill La Kill, which is kind of a off title, as I think 3 or 4 people die. In fact, for an action series, it wasn't that violent, and for something many people steered away from because they thought it would be too adult based on what they knew about it, it's actually quite a delightful, fun little series. And that's why I loved it. I liked it a lot more as the year went on. It is just a fun little series. It's not trying to shove something down your throat. It's not about messages. It's not about anything like that. It was just a series that wanted to have fun, and that is really rare these days. Usually shows that kind of have that approach are just being lazy. This one, you felt a lot of the work, the effort put into it, all the fun nature of it, really fun, likable characters, just always lively and always a good time, and something that anyone could watch, because it's really not that dark and violent, and it's just fun and uplifting, and that actually worked for once. Number 7. Chuunibyou Demo Kaishita. That's right, I put Season 2 on the worst of list, partially because Season 1 was just so damn good. I mean, I loved this anime. I loved the way the characters worked. I loved the way they bounced off each other, the way they functioned. Everything about this series felt realistic. It never, once again, and like with Kill La Kill, felt like it was shoving something down your throat. It presented the characters realistically. They were funny. They were likable. I enjoyed every second with them. You could really think about this show and examine it and understand what it was trying to say. And also just enjoy it for the fun humor it had. And that's really why Season 2 was so bad, because Season 1 was just so damn good. Number 6. Tokyo Ghoul. This is probably the darkest thing I watched all year, as this was a horror anime. I'm not big into horror, but this series was just so great. Super smart, super dark, but also very heartfelt and very kind. I really got into the characters, I got into the fun of the series, and I just loved the way it portrayed the world. For once, it felt realistic. It felt like a world where I could see these creatures living in and all the things that go on with humans, and understanding it from both sides of the equation was really good. It really focused on what was important and what was integral to moving the plot forward. It didn't just focus on shoving as much gory imagery down your throat or trying to pad everything down with action or comedy or anything like that. It was earnest, it told the story it wanted to tell, and knew how to do it. And hey, it's a show that got me interested in drinking coffee. Number 5. I actually didn't think this one would get as high as it did. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved Beyond the Boundary, but come on. A romantic action, fantasy, comedy, whatever. I'm a dude, and I've checked. So that's not the kind of thing for me. But this series did it. This series really catches on to something that most don't, that if you make the characters great, and you make the plot practical, it doesn't matter what sort of fantasy elements you have in there. You can have all these demons, you can have world in danger, or anything like that, and you can make it all work because we're on this journey with characters we enjoy, we have fun with them, and the action was cool, and the emotions were handled right. Again, bad villain, kind of a mess towards the end. But I thought this series was just so good for how much it respected the audience and treated them with intelligence and took full advantage of being fantasy. And hey, it was once glad to see a series where when it was time for the character to let their emotions out, it wasn't wah, wah, wah. Number 4, Black Bullet. Yes, an anime that many people hated. But I don't care about them, I care about me, and I loved this series. It was weird, it was dark, it was funny, it was actiony, it had heart to it. I liked the characters, I liked the plot, I liked where everything was going. I thought this series was just a super smart, super fun thing, and I didn't think it was at first. I looked at the trailer and was like, this looks so stupid. But it wasn't. It was a really smart political thriller. It combined sci-fi, it combined action, it did all this very well. For some people it didn't, but I get that. But I don't care. This is my list where I talk about what I think was awesome. Number 3. Angel Beats. I cried. I can admit that. I'm a man, and I cried at this 13-episode cartoon. This series is beautiful. It's one of the loveliest things I've ever watched, and I just use the word lovely for crying out loud. I've only ever cried 4 times to a TV show in my life. They've all been to anime. The other 3 times were to things that, looking back on it, probably did it a bit too much. But this series knew how to get all the drama right. It had a very bizarre original plot that I don't think I've ever seen quite done that way before. It had a lot of fun, memorable characters, a lot of crazy-ass fun scenes to watch. And it was a series that really made you think about people and how people work and how much of what we do matters and does it mean ultimately in the end. Again, a lot of people get turned off from it because they think like, oh, high school forever, but if you give this show a chance, it's just beautiful. That's all I have to say about it. Number 2. That's right, it's guns, it's action, it's everything you want in Madhouse, minus actually finishing a show for once. Black Lagoon is kick fucking ass, and they say fuck, so I can say it here. This is one of the coolest action shows I've ever watched in my life. It's Bebop level. It's insert any other action show you want here. It celebrates all the old-fashioned action cliches, uses them very well. and really takes full advantage of what action is, and just a lot of cool scenes. Not to mention that, led up by a cast of characters I just want to hang out with. I want to be in this world. I don't even want to fight or do anything like that. I just want to sit back and have a beer and watch the ball game with these guys. This is a fun, action-packed anime, and it turned out at the end it had brains. It's a smart series and a well-done show. At this rate, I doubt we'll ever get another season. Sad. But I'll always cherish the 24 episodes we get. Number 1! If you know me, you knew this was coming. I am a huge-ass Yu-Gi-Oh fan, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Zale, in my opinion, is a perfect TV show. Maybe some people say it's a little too long. Maybe some people say it pandered to children. I think they're wrong. I thought this series took the concept of the coming-of-age tale and took this crazy-ass card game crap, mixed it all together, and created the perfect blend of the two. Yuma is one of the most well-developed, perfect arc characters I have ever seen in my life. The show is action-packed, it's fun, it's emotional, it's everything I've said about these other anime, but just combined and brought to the umpteenth level. Not everyone cared for this Yu-Gi-Oh! And I admit when I first saw it I thought it was going to be horrible. But the more it went on, the more I was engrossed in the story, and the more I just never wanted it to end. These characters, for me, have transcended Yu-Gi-Oh! Past just this fun adventure series and made it into something emotional, something that grabbed me, something that made me care beyond just card game shenanigans. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Zale is perfect, and no matter how much I reworked the schedule or knew that putting a freaking Yu-Gi-Oh! Series at the top was probably going to make people angry at me, I gotta be honest, it was my favorite this year, and that's never going to change. But what was your favorites? In the comment section below, give me your favorite animes of the year, what you liked, what you got amazing about, and what you're looking forward to in the year coming up. And as always, click to like and click to subscribe because there's more amazing anime to come.